We've already looked at the DLC tracks, so let's go back and rank the other 48 tracks in this game. This is every track in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe ranked on how dangerous they are. Let's find out which ones will leave you with injury, which ones will leave you with death, and which are totally safe to drive on. Let's go. First up, Mario Kart Stadium. Like any good intro track, there's not too much in your way. As for the gliding, that's a staple of Mario Kart. We can't fault that. I think this is totally safe. Water Park, well, this is pretty easy. This is never where you want your car to be, and you're underwater for a good amount of time. Don't think you're getting out of this one alive. Sweet Sweet Canyon looks pretty safe at first glance. We do get submerged here as well, but that's only for a short time. And the Cannon Blast carries a little bit of concern with it. I think I'm gonna put this one in slightly painful. I'm conflicted on Thwomp Ruins. There is water here, but it's not required. Obviously, the main issue here is getting crushed, which is concerning, but again, it's easily avoidable. I feel like with this one, I just gotta meet in the middle and go Broken Bones. Mario Circuit. Now we're back to basics. Just a figure 8 with a clean road. There's nothing to worry about here. Toad Harbor is pretty safe through most of it, as there's just a nice and peaceful environment, but the trolleys concern me. There is a chance you could get run over and crushed by these as well. I'm gonna put this one in Broken Bones. Twisted Mansion, the Ghost House, otherwise known as the House of Death. But is that enough to put this one in the death tier? Maybe not, but the water is. Yep, up you go. Shy Guy Falls is interesting because there's water here, but we're not underwater. We're just driving on top of it. That being said, you do still go over the edge of a waterfall and drive down it. Something could go really wrong here if you miss that ramp. So I'm making this our first one in major injury. Sunshine Airport, what do I do with you? I mean, airports are just full of germs, but let's not think about that. Driving on airplanes like this is definitely not the most safe thing ever, and it's probably not good that we drive on the runway with airplanes flying right by us. I don't know, it's debatable. I'm just gonna go major injury. Dolphin Shoals, yeah, there's quite a bit of water here, isn't there? But what about Electrodrome? I mean, the whole theme of this track is there's a party going on, so there's not really any dangerous obstacles in the way. You'd think there would be an issue here, but I really can't think of one. I think this is totally safe. But Mount Wario is definitely not. Skiing down a mountain has led to some injuries before, and I don't think driving on ice like this is a good idea. That, plus driving through the trees, plus the giant downhill at the end are a lot of concerns. But is death guaranteed here? Surprisingly, I don't really think so. Probably shouldn't do it, but you could survive it. So I'm going major injury on this one. Cloud Top Cruise. This is a pretty similar issue to Sky Garden. Sure, everything's all fine and happy up here, but it's in the name. We're up in the clouds. If you fall off, that is a long way down. There ain't no way you're surviving. Bone Dry Dunes seems okay, but there are some plants here that are not super easy to avoid, and I'm not sure how it would go driving on this surface. I'm gonna put this in slightly painful. Bowser's Castle, well, clearly he does not want us safe. A giant statue that could crush you, and lava everywhere. Even if you don't fall in, it is still really hot around you. And Rainbow Road, we've been over this. We're in space with no oxygen. There is a space station here, but it's completely open. We're not breathing at all. Moo Moo Meadows. Honestly, this one feels more dangerous for the cows than for you. This is totally safe. And same thing for GBA Mario Circuit. Obviously, I mean, these ones are always super basic. Now for Cheep Cheep Beach, there is water here, but you never have to go into it. Instead, you could just drive your car on the sand, which isn't really dangerous. It's just dumb. Probably wouldn't go anywhere anyway. But for Toad's Turnpike, there's a lot more danger here. Driving on a highway through all these cars, yeah, no thank you. I'm just gonna put this in major injury and call it a day. Dry Desert now. Well, for one thing, it's really hot. That's already a concern. Then there's the giant quicksand pit. I mean, the cars do seem to know how to drive out of it, so you could escape, which means I think this one should go in major injury. Now for Donut Plains 3, we have a basic SNES track. There's no real obstacles in the way here, but I just don't know if I can put this one in totally safe with the moat pit by the castle. I'll just move it up to slightly painful, but we can make up for it with Royal Raceway because it's a super happy place with nothing to worry about. DK Jungle, though, a bit more dangerous. There's some enemies around, high bounces at some points, and of course, a chance of falling from the trees. So I'm putting this in Broken Bones. Wario Stadium is, of course, dangerous. Giant fire bars, big drops. There's that and water at the end of the track. I mean, it's not for very long, but it is still there. I'm gonna put it in Broken Bones, but Sherbet Land has a lot more water. And not only that, it's freezing water. That just makes things worse. And even if you don't go into it, being out in the cold with no snow gear and an open car like this, yeah, you're not gonna make it for very long. Music Park is interesting. I feel like driving on all the instruments is really cool and not a concern, but then there's the giant music notes. Sure, they're happy and cheering you on, but you can still get squished from their jumping. That's really the only concern though, and it doesn't even look like it would be that bad. So I'm gonna put this in slightly painful. And for Yoshi Valley, it's pretty much the same thing. A nice and peaceful track with a giant Yoshi egg at the end. Just that one concern. So again, slightly painful. Now for Tick-Tock Clock, I don't know. It just feels kind of weird being on all these giant mechanisms. Falling into the rotating hands and gears would probably not end well. Major injury on this one. Piranha Plant Slide, I mean, what can I say? Plants that can eat you and a long stretch of underwater. I can't make a case for this one. Or this one, Grumble Volcano, a place with a bunch of lava being shot everywhere. See, normally you want to get away from erupting volcanoes. And N64 Rainbow Road, sure, we're not in space, so you can still breathe, but again, we're just way too high to have any chance of survival. That's still a long way down to that city. Alright, Yoshi Circuit. Just a track shaped like Yoshi, good start, but there is still a chance of falling into water here and a couple of plants in the middle. I want to say it's safe, but I don't know, I feel like it's gotta go and slightly painful. Excitebike Arena though, I mean, it's just an oval. There is nothing to worry about here. Dragon Driftway? I don't know, there's nothing here that really concerns me. I mean, it's not like we're driving on a real dragon, that would be a different story. For this one, it's kind of just a line with no obstacles in the way. This one's totally safe. Mute City. I mean, you could debate this one being more dangerous, but I think it's the same situation. There's really nothing here that worries me. No jumps are too crazy, and there's nothing here trying to attack you. Wario's Gold Mine, though, there's a lot going on here. The bats in the cave are already a pretty big concern. Then there's just the chance of getting run over by a minecart or falling off the tracks. I don't think this one is the most dangerous, but I still think it's enough to put it in major injury. SNES Rainbow Road. Well, we can breathe on this one too, but then there's the concern of falling. Definitely amplified by the fact that there's no rails anywhere, and if you fall, it's right into water. The Rainbow Road curse cannot be stopped. Ice Outpost, I mean, this one's just too cold and slippery. You're definitely gonna slip a lot on this road. So is that and the freezing temperature here enough to put it in death? Maybe, but it does look a little bit nicer here, so maybe you wouldn't need as much snow gear to survive. I have faith in this one. I'll move it down to major injury. Now a place with much better weather, Hyrule Circuit. Surprisingly, there's not anything here that I'm worried about. It really is just a tour through the castle and around the kingdom. It's fun and safe. Baby Park. Yeah, I'm so worried about this one. Cheeseland. I mean, how could you not feel safe with all this food around? I mean, that's really it, up until the end where we got the chain chomps to look out for. So I think we can put this in slightly painful. Wild Woods. Well, we're up in some trees once again, and pretty much the same situation with DK Jungle, where we could possibly fall down and suffer some broken bones. Animal Crossing. I mean, you can't get more peaceful than this. No matter what season it is, I will always feel totally safe here. Neo Bowser City though, yeah, there's some more danger. Once again, it's a spot where falling would not be good. Like before, if you you can avoid that, you're all good, but I think that's enough to put this one in major injury. Then Ribbon Road, there's no falling here. In fact, you're shrunken down to the size of a Hot Wheels car, and this whole race takes place in a child's bedroom. Some of you will probably say that children are dangerous, but this one looks to be totally safe. Super Bell Subway, yeah, if you thought driving on a highway with cars was bad, what about driving next to 2 subways underground? I wanted to say there's no way you're gonna survive this, but come to think of it, these 2 trains specifically are going pretty slow, so I think this one should go in major injury. And finally, Big Blue. What do we think? Well, the track is super fast, but again, there's nothing here that really wants to hurt you. Although, it's definitely much easier to fall on this one. So, Broken Bones. And with that, we have ranked every track in Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. Do you disagree with anything? Please let me know. Or if you have any more ranking ideas, feel free to suggest them. But for now, that is all I got. Thank you all so much for watching, and I will see you next time.